Everyone, Shavua Tov, and we're in Parashat VaYislah. Now, Parashat VaYislah, it's a very intense story in the history of Jacob and his family, a very famous part of it, and that's the meeting between Jacob and his brother Esau. Now, the story is like this. It's starting, we are reading in Genesis chapter 32, verse 4. And as it says, VaYishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav v'lesav achiv. So Jacob is sending malachim. Now malachim is a double meaning word. Malachim means messengers, and he sent messengers to his brother Esau that he's coming back home. And malachim means also angels. So we have this double meaning to give us like two different ways of thinking, but usually, as the Torah does, the both ways are complementing each other. So, and that's what he's saying. He's sending the messages with the messengers. He says, so you'll say, verse 5, so you're going to say to my master Esau. He calls his brother my master. And the verse goes on, so said your servant or your slave, Yaakov, Jacob, Im Lavan garti v'aycharadata. I lived with Lavan, and I delayed till now. That was like 21 years. V'ayili shor v'chamor tzon v'ed v'shivcha, and I had sheep and a donkey. I had an ox and a donkey, sheep, and a slave and a maid. Now, you read it as a story, but if you don't know Kabbalah, if you don't read the commentaries, you think just as a little story, but everything is calculated, and that to teach us. Because, look, the story is about Jacob meeting Esau. Esau wants to kill him. And if he is checking if Esau forgave him, he did not forgive him. So he knows that. He knows that, he tests it. The result is Esau comes finally to kill him with 400 warriors. So Jacob is there with 4 wives, 12 children, sheep and stuff like this against an army of 400 warriors. And Esau, his brother that wants to kill him, that was the first reason why he fled to Haran, to his uncle. Okay? So, we have here a whole very condensed story, condensed issue, which is basically giving us a message of how do you deal with encounters like this. And this is the highest level of pain, because it's not just that somebody wants to kill you, it's your brother, right? It's painful enough that somebody wants to kill you, but if it's your brother wants to kill you, like this is like really direct hit in the major place of maybe self-esteem, safety, whatever. It's in the family. It's like in the circle that's supposed to give you support, your brother. Okay? So we know some of the big fights, the biggest fights are in the family, unfortunately. So what do we learn from that story? So we want to understand the story if we don't go back to the previous stories. And in the previous stories, both previous stories, we are dealing with Esau as not just the brother of Jacob, but as a symbol. And we're not talking as a symbol, as just a metaphor, but we're talking about the story is giving us basically the idea of understanding how does this universe work. And when we're talking about Esau and Jacob, we're talking about two forces in each one of us. Each one of us, in order for us to be human, we need to have two forces. One force, we call it the true self. This is the part in each one of us that is simple, that is looking for completion, that likes to be good, likes to be enlightened, likes to be loving and caring, whatever. This is the part that is connected to the truth. What it says, Titen emet leYaakov. You give truth to Jacob. What is the truth? It's the wholesome. And how do you see it? You see the word emet. Truth. The word truth, emet, starts with Aleph, which is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It finished with a Taf, which is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And in the middle, you have a Mem, which is the middle letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So you get Emet, it's everything. So everyone wants to feel like a whole, wants to feel harmony, wants to feel, nobody likes conflicts. Nobody likes paradoxes. Nobody likes when things are not perfect, when things are messed up. Nobody likes chaos. Nobody likes it. Everybody wants internally to feel as a whole. So everybody, nobody pays money to go to a concert where the violinists, each one of them is playing his own stuff without caring about the others. You don't pay money for that. You don't spend time sitting there. You want to hear harmony, and that's why you pay for it. And that's also in everything. Buying a house, buying something to wear, anything, everything you do. People are trying to get away and stay away from conflict and disharmony, and we love harmony. Why? Because that's a vibration that resonates with our real, true desires and real, true self. On the other hand, we have another aspect of our personality, because yes, if everybody likes harmony and happiness and so why do people behave in such a disharmonious way too much, right? And also we have also the evil inclination, it's called, and that is represented by Esav, right? And so Esav, the red one, the hairy one, the one who likes to kill, who wants to go hunting, okay? The one who doesn't care so much about values, but he cares about taking it because I feel like it, because I want it, and I want it now. We have that Esav also, and we spoke about it. But that Esav, this is also part of our personality, and that's part of the game, because if we understand that the world was created in harmony, in perfection, that's how God created it in the beginning. The problem is we didn't like it. Why? You know the saying, it's too good to be true. We can't live with perfection too much unless we created it. If somebody gives it to you and it's so perfect, our reaction is it's too good to be true. Why? Because we were created in the image of God and we need ownership. When it's perfect and it's harmonious, we need to feel that we had something in doing it. When other people do it for us, we can accept it. It's something in our being that we'd like to be part of creating the harmony and the perfection. Otherwise, it's like, as we said many times, you can't make other people happy. And if you tried, you probably paid dearly for that. You can't make other people happy. You can try, but you do it only for yourself. But can you control other person's feeling of well-being? No, you can't. You can't. You can show an example. You can bring the horse to the water, you can't force them drinking. Why? Because people feel happy when they create it on their own. And in order for that, they need the challenge. And they need the evil inclination, which is a servant of the whole picture of the creation. Because when I overcome my own Esav, when I overcome my own self-sabotage, my own self-negativity, when I overcome that, then I reach a place of harmony, but now it's fulfilling because it's mine. And that's why I need Esav in the picture. That's why we're asking the question, how come Isaac and Rebekah, such great souls, some of the highest souls ever walked on earth, brought to the world somebody like Esau. What a terrible person. A killer, a murderer, a robber, a thief, whatever. What is that about? And the answer is, as the Zohar is explaining to us, we're not talking about the story of a dysfunctional family in which one brother wants to kill the other. We're talking about the basic forces within each one of us. So when we're talking about Abraham, and we explained it before, Abraham is chesed, loving kindness. Loving kindness has two outcomes. One is the pure system, is when you bring it together with judgment. And that's why Abraham has Isaac, to bring to the picture judgment too, because just loving kindness, it's by itself, it always comes to some problems. And that's the other outcome is Ishmael. And Ishmael is complete in that way of loving kindness, being emotional. This is the right hemisphere, very of the brain, very emotional, very creative, but no logic. Just warmth and love. What's the problem? That cannot really work in this world. You need some logic to put boundaries. You need the judgment. That's why you need Isaac. Isaac, who's the judgment, is that perfection? No. You need judgment, but that judgment has two outcomes. One is me, Esau. And one is the judgment that is contained within the chesed, and that's Jacob. So each one of these characters is representing one aspect of each one of us. We have an Abraham within us, and a Sarah. We have an Isaac and a Rebecca. We have an Ishmael, we have an Esau, and we have a Jacob also within us. So when we're talking about these characters, we're not talking about people that, I see people that 4,000 years later, they speak about it like they read it in the newspaper. Did you hear that Esau murdered this and this and this? Hello, that was 4,000 years ago. That's not a new... no, people get excited about to speak Lashon Hara, to badmouth Esau. Hello, Esau is you, and Jacob is you, and Ishmael is you. And each one of us has those aspects. And what we'll read, the book of Genesis, is about learning how to develop those parts in our personality in a balanced way. Because when we have it in a balanced way, we can basically achieve what is called success and well-being. Why? When you understand the forces within you, and you know how to juggle between all these forces, because all of them, it's like a big choir inside the person. One wants this, one wants that. If you don't know, you think you have a split personality. Once you want this, once you want that. Why am I like this? That's who you are. And that's what you need to be in order to achieve what is called, again, success, fulfillment, satiation, whatever we really want. Which means you want to achieve perfection. If you get the perfection out of the blue, as human beings, we can't accept it. Why? Look at people. People that live a life without challenges. Everything is perfect. Some people I wish my life would be so smooth and so, you're tired. But that's not life. Then after a while, you get really upset about it. Why? You need challenges. We have to deal with that. So, now, some of the challenges are really tough. And now we're coming in VaYislah, we're coming to the peak. This is a part in which the story itself tells us about. Jacob has to fight this horrible issue in which his brother wants to kill him, his children, his wives, everything he has, everything he has built with so much hard work in the last 21 years, since he left his home, running away from Esau. Now he's coming back with all of that, and Esau wants to destroy it all at once. Now, remember, life is dangerous. Why? It's hurting. If you go through life without hurting, you didn't live. You didn't live. The question is not if you're going to be hurting. You know, a lot of people have this like dream. I want a life that's going to be smooth without hurting, that nobody hurts me, whatever. So then they become lonely. Why? Nobody hurts you. And then loneliness kills you. Right? So what do you do? So what do you do? And the answer is you don't do anything. You just have to fight it. You have to deal with it. You have to complete yourself with it, and you have to understand that this is part of what your life is about. Why? What is the best feeling in the world? Going through really hard time when not just that other people felt this is the end, you felt that this is the end. You felt that there's no way out of it. And then you come out of it with a lot of faith, a lot of wit, a lot of hard work, and you look backwards and you say, wow, I made it. That's fulfilling. This feeling never leaves you. It stays with you forever. Why? We are creatures of challenge. We need the challenge. We need that game. We need that, and sometimes it's like, God, I wish you don't give me that challenge because, I don't want the challenge and I don't want the reward. Like, leave me alone. But what can we do? That's not on our side. To choose how, everybody, a lot of people want it great, but they're not willing to pay the price. Okay? You look, what jealousy is about. You see what somebody else has, you want what he has, but you're not willing to pay the price. What's the problem is? That we have a little problem with that. Nobody asks us. When we were created with a vessel for happiness and fulfillment and achievement. That's how we've been created. Now, what's the problem? That because we were created by this great being, which is the Creator himself, and he created us with that desire to be happy and fulfilled and to achieve that well-being, we have no other choice. We have to reach that. Why? We were created for that purpose. Now, the problem is we don't see the whole picture. And you know what? This is part of the game. So a lot of people, even Moses is being told by God, go and tell Pharaoh, let my people go. And Moses says, me? Forget it. Send somebody else. God is saying, you're going to write the 5 books of Moses. Everybody's going to hear about you. You're going to become the most powerful being ever walking on earth. And Moses says, no, leave me with the sheep. If God listened to Moses, we would know about Moses. Now, when Moses went on to the mount, 120 years old, was he sorry about what he went 40 years in the desert with Pharaoh, with the Israelite nation that was so ungrateful so many times? Was he sorry about it? I wish it didn't happen. I wish I stayed in the desert. No, after 40 years later, you say, wow, I've done something. If we were asked, do you want that? Usually our answer will be, you know what? I don't want to bother. Leave me like this. So we would say unhappy, miserable, with the kind of a feeling, I'll better sit here in the darkness because I don't want. And thank God, he's not asking us. He's just throwing us to those moments without preparing us, and we have to simply deliver. And what if we don't deliver? So we get a second round, and a third round, and a fourth round. Why? Because we were made for it. So why don't we believe in ourselves? And the answer is because without that little voice inside that's saying, no, I can't do it, I shouldn't do it, it's not right, they're wrong, it's their fault, whatever. That's called the evil inclination. Without that voice, there's no challenge. Without that voice, the victory is not that sweet. So the victory is, first of all, fighting our own Esav. That part of us that wants it free, wants it easy, that part of us that prefers to kill everyone and not to deliver. To see everybody dead without us creating life. That's basically what life is about. So now the question is, how do we do that? And here we have that story of VaYislah, which is the story of how do you deal with the biggest challenges of your life, life-threatening. That opportunity that it looks like it's all or nothing. You can lose everything or you can gain everything. That you have no idea what's going to be the outcome and how do you deal with it. So first of all, we'll go to the Zohar that explains it. And in the story, whoever did not read that, this is, everybody knows that this book in Genesis is part of this bestseller called the 5 Books of Moses, or the Bible. You better read the story, just to know the story, if you don't know it. And it says, the Zohar starts immediately with going to the story. And it says like this, VaYishlach Yaakov Malachim, Rabbi Yehuda Patach. I'm reading in the Zohar Perush HaSulam, the Sulam commentary, the first verse. Ki malachav yatzaveh lach lishmorcha mikol ra. He's giving us a quote from Psalms 91:11. He will give you his angels to guard you from any evil. Okay? And mikra ze be'aruach haverim. This verse has been already talked about for many times. Still, every verse in the 5 books of Moses, in the whole Tanakh, has many ways to interpret it. Because you can take from it a lot of benefit from different angles and different times. So, ki b'sha'a she'adam ba la'olam, so the sages said, that verse speaks about those angels. When a person is coming to this world, miyad hayetzer hara ba imo, the evil inclination comes and born with the child immediately at birth. Okay? Shu mekatreg alav tamid, and he's always there to harm. Kmo she'amar ha'katuv, as it says, lapetach chatat rovetz. Lapetach chatat rovetz. This is from Genesis 4:7. The sin lies in the opening. The moment you're born, you get in the evil inclination. Okay? Whoever raised a child, what comes first? The good inclination or the bad inclination? The evil inclination comes first. In the beginning, they have only that. They want it for themselves, they want it now, and they don't care about anything but I want it now. Right? There's nothing else but that. Ma'u chatat rovetz. What does it mean the sin lies at the gate? That's the evil inclination. Lapetach perusho lepetach beit harechem. And what's the gate? That's the gate of the womb. The moment you come out of the gate, it's here. Babies, they care about no one, about nothing. There's no negotiation. The terrible twos come when they start to realize there is a place for negotiation. I remember my nephew, smart guy, 2 years old. I found him like, whoa, what is this negotiation about? There was no negotiation till now. He said those words. There were no deals before. You should do this if you want that. I got everything till now. So the rebellion starts the moment you realize, till now I got everything I wanted. And now negotiation, you're kidding? I don't care about anyone but myself. But you're smart enough to realize you're not alone. So that's called the terrible twos. But is that over? You know, I know some people in their 50s are still in the terrible Jews. What do you mean negotiation? I want it here, I want it now, I want it all, and by my terms, right? ודוד, King David in Tehillim, in Psalms, קרא גם כן את היצר הרע בשם חטאת, and he calls the evil inclination חטאת, the sin, שכתוב וחטאתי נגדי תמיד, and he says, and my sin, that's Psalms 51:5, and my sin is always in front of me. Why? We have the evil inclination the moment we're born. Otherwise, there's no challenge. Otherwise, everything is so pure. You know, some people say, I wish I just knew the future. I knew what's right, what's wrong. I wish I knew everything. I wish I knew what other people think. I could. There's no free will in that place. If you really know everything, there's no free will. Then the evil inclination cannot play with you. The whole thing is that ignorance allows you to have free will. If you just know, as it says that on Mount Sinai, the Zohar says, the moment God started to speak, פרחו נשמותיהם של ישראל, all the souls of the children of Israel left their bodies. Now we experience all the laws outside of our bodies. 3 million people. Can you imagine that? The Zohar explained this amazing description. We could see every action that we do. What are the results? You do this, that's what happens. You do this, that's what happens. Everything. We could see the whole programming of the universe. Did we have at that moment any free will? No. Do you understand what does it mean that we said Nasa v'nishma immediately? We'll do and we'll listen? You have no free will when you're out of your body. You have no evil inclination. So what's the problem? We came back to our bodies. Back in your body, what happens? You forget. How many times you see the truth? The whole truth, nothing but the truth, right? You have a moment of truth. And you think, from now on, I'm going to be perfect. Yeah, there's a problem. Your body kicks in, and that makes you forget. You know, how do you say forget in Hebrew? Shachach. Same letters as choshech, darkness. Okay? It makes you be busy, focus on one thing, then you forget about the others, right? Now you're hungry, you forget about all the values. Now you feel scared, you forget all about, you know, the rules of the universe, and you forget about the vows, you forget about the promises, you forget about everything. Is that wrong? No. The Zohar said this is not wrong. This is part of who we are, and that's okay, as long as we know it. That we have all of these just so we have a fair game. So when we achieve fulfillment, it was not for free. Because for free, you have only troubles. Okay? So, and because of that, because of that every day, the evil inclination makes the person go astray, make mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you're probably not alive. Either you're dead, or you're not born yet, right? If you're making mistakes, you're alive. You're normal. Okay? And that's why it says, Sheva yipol tzadik v'kam, King Solomon says, a tzaddik, a righteous person, falls 7 times and gets up. What do you learn from that? A righteous person is not somebody who doesn't make mistakes. A righteous person is a person that gets up and tries all over again. That's a difference. Whoever thinks, you know, I make mistake, what's wrong with me? I'm doomed. No, you're okay, you're normal. You'll make mistakes so you can get up and try all over again. If you're perfect, you're not alive. And if you're alive, you're not perfect. And whoever says it's perfect, he'll be lying about other things too. You'll be better careful about it. My rabbi used to say, I'm the most afraid of people who think that they got there already. They have no sense of what's wrong, and they can do all kinds of stuff, God forbid. Okay, should be careful about this. יצר הרע נוסר מן האדם מיום היוולדו עד עולם. And the evil inclination does not leave the person from the moment he is born forever. What do I mean? As long as you are still in this world. היצר הטוב בא אל האדם יום שבא להתאר, and the good inclination comes to the person on the day he comes to be purified, to become pure. And what is that day? ומתי האדם בא להתאר? What is that day? ובשעה שהוא בן י"ג שנה, when he's 13, for boys, 12 for girls. אז מתחבר האדם בשניהם, then the person is connected to both. Till this day, he was connected only to the evil inclination. אחד בימין, אחד בשמאל, one is on the right, the good inclination, one is on the left, the evil inclination. We are all composed of both. ואלו הם שני מלאכים ממונים ממש, and these are two supervising angels ruling the person. והם נמצאים מהאדם תמיד, they're always with the person. Always you feel like, in a way, you're schizophrenic, right? One part of you pulls you down, and one part of you picks you up. בא אדם להתאר, when a person comes to purify himself, to start the journey, that's what bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah is supposed to be. The problem is, how many kids today are really being prepared for that? A lot of kids think, bar mitzvah is something that connects to the super ego of the parents. How much money we've made till now and how much show-off we can show the friends and family. Okay? And how much we can self-indulge ourselves and others. Very rarely you can see kids coming to bar mitzvah and they're really being prepared. Guys, the real fight of your life is starting today. This is when the real thing, when life really is beginning. Okay? And you should prepare yourself because that's going to be the fight. When you win, you live. When you lose, you get another chance. Okay? Now, when a person is really focusing on purifying himself, נכנע היצר הרע לפניו, then he has to subdue the evil inclination under the good one. והימין שולט על השמאל, and the right is taking over the left. The good inclination is taking over the bad one. ושניהם היצר הטוב ויצר הרע מתחברים, and then the moment the good one is taking over the bad one, then both of them become the guardians of the person. That's why when we say in the Shema, ואהבת, and you should love your God בכל לבבך, with all your two hearts. Which two hearts? The good one and the evil one. You have to harness both of them. You can't just let go of one of them. So whoever thinks like, you should deny that part in you that wants to be happy, that wants to be big, that wants to be powerful. Without it, you can't. You go nowhere. You need it, but you need it to be harnessed. You have to control it and use it. Now, וזהו שכתוב, that's why when it says, כי מלאכיו יצווה לך, all of this was to explain why it says that God gives you his angels to guard you on the way, because you need both angels. It's not that one of them you have to strengthen and the other one you have to kill. No, you're not killing the other one. You have to overpower. You have to transform it, you have to control it, and you have to use it. Okay? That's why when we ask him the question, how come Esau was a bad guy? He was born to Isaac and Rebekah. Such high souls, such pure people. Esau had all the chances. He was not, he had a free will. When he was 13, he was trying to learn. And Isaac appreciated it, and he loved him because of that. But on his 13th birthday, he couldn't take control. He went wild. That's a Midrashim telling that. When he comes home and he's totally in the dark side, he comes to Jacob, the good one, the heart, the soul, and he says, if you don't feed me, I'll die. Why? As we said, when we let that part of us, the evil inclination, just to do and celebrate and do whatever he wants, he has a very, very simple trait. If we allow ourselves to eat whatever we feel like eating, to say whatever we feel like saying, to do exactly what we feel like doing, we'll kill ourselves very easily, right? One of the first things you have to do when you raise up a child, that you can't just do that stuff. You start when you're like, after 2 years old till 3 years old, and then from now on, you start to control. You have to start to learn, you have to behave yourself, right? There are things you cannot do, you cannot say, you cannot eat. You have to monitor. That's your preparation for 10 years, from 3 years old till 13 years old. So when you reach your bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, you know this world is about the fight. This world is about taking over. Because if you're just going to let your Esav do whatever he wants, that's like a death wish. But I want, but I desire. It makes me feel good. Everything that makes you feel good is good for you. Most of them not, right? Most of them not. Whatever is tasty is good for your body, right? Whatever feels like, the instant gratification, that's giving you a high, and then that's called death. But death comes always after kind of a pleasure, right? Now, so you're not killing the desire to feel good, but you have that desire has to be under the control of Jacob. And that's why Jacob says to Esau, look, if you want to live on your own, you already see that you're killing yourself. Sell your birthright, because I can't count on you. That's what our body what we have to tell our body. Oh, you want to eat good food? Yeah, but only when it fits our needs. It's not too much. It's the right stuff. It has to be also with the big picture. No, some things are very tasty, but the price is too dear, right? So you need to feed your Esau, but in one condition. He sells the birthright to Jacob. If he's not, that's called addictions. And you know what addictions do to people? They kill them. Simply kill them. So, now, when you didn't give up on your Esau, yeah, you have the passion for food, for excitement, for success, for victories, whatever. However, Jacob says, yeah, but I'm deciding over here how to manifest it. Then you have two angels, your two hearts, protecting you. Without the burning passion and desire of Esau, you go nowhere. You go nowhere. You're just being like sitting in the tent, I'm going to sit here and learn. And I don't want anything. You have a mentality of a chair, of an inanimate. You're not supposed to be. The Creator created us with passions, with desires, not that we lose them. We should harness them. Okay, remember that. Now, then comes the next verse. So that's why when we're saying that Jacob is sending angels, after he won him, he was battling with Esau. Now he was battling, when you jump from the frying pan into the fire, into his uncle. Okay? His uncle's name was Lavan. Lavan means in Hebrew, white. It was Lavan, the black, right? He was everything that is dark. He was vicious, he was a cheat and a liar, he was into dark magic, there was nothing white about him. But the biggest villains are trying to pretend themselves as righteous, right? Isn't that the way it works? I really want for your good. Doesn't work this way. Okay, so let's continue. רבי יצחק פתח ואמר, חונה מלאך השם סביב ליראה ויחלצם. The angel of God dwells under his people, and he always gets them out of any trouble. So, what do we learn from there? When a person is making his everyday job, which is overcoming selfishness, overcoming negativity, overcoming all of those dark sides that we have, that generates positive energy. That positive energy becomes an angel. Every day, it's a different new angel that we create. Those angels are our guardian angels. So, when we are coming to face any moment of challenge and danger, those angels are there with us to protect us. And that's why we know when we are facing any kind of a challenge like this, any danger, we're not standing there by ourselves. They're all the good deeds. It's not that it's being written up there. No, there's no, it looks like there's a book up there. No, it's being written over here. It's the forces of positivity that we create. They go with us wherever we go. That's called self-esteem. That's called certainty. That's called faith. You build it up, and it's a build-up that you have to create and generate. Especially when you know that you're going to face moments of challenge, you have to create more positivity. How do you do that? So the sages always taught us, you do charity, you help other people. You go out of your way to create positivity, to create light out of darkness. You do all kinds of chesed and stuff, and by this, and also you send that energy of positivity to the moment of friction and challenge by meditation and by prayer, because then you're basically sending angels to be there with you in a moment of need. So that's already the preparation. How do you start preparing yourself? Because what do you know? Can you predict all the moments of conflict, all the moments of... No, you can't. So you always have to create and generate those angels. Also, not just by waiting for those moments, but also that's your calling. That's our everyday calling. You don't have to wait till there's a big dark cloud coming, hovering above your head, or there's a sword over your neck to create angels. You have to live a life that does it all the time. Like you're saving for a rainy day. Why people go to work? Yeah, I got up in the morning. Well, there's some food in the fridge. There's some, why should I go to work? You need to have some backing to whatever going, because what do you know about tomorrow? What about the day after? What about you need something, right? You can't just sit there and wait. That's in the physical way, but on the spiritual way, what about self-esteem? Do I need to have self-esteem for the moment of trouble, or I just want to build it up because that's my calling? That's my real work. And that you build it up. So life goes like this, ups and downs. There are winters and there are summers. There's fall and there's spring. And you always have to prepare yourself, and that's why they say in the army, if it's hard in the training, it's going to be much easier during the battle. Mm-hmm. So you put the effort during training. What is training? I don't really need to become a tzaddik, a righteous person. Yes, you do. That's your calling. You're not here just to get by. You're not here just to survive. You're not here just to, schlep around from one year to another. You're here to create something that you can be proud of. Otherwise, why did the Creator create you for? Just to live a mediocre life that has nothing to, what happened? Well, we survived another day. That justifies everything, all of this stuff. All of this creation, all of this wisdom, all this like sophisticated, brilliant creation, just to get by? How's life? Okay. That's what God created us for. Forget it. And if you're trying to forget it, you'll be reminded. And as we said, you're being thrown into the stormy water, unexpected, and you have to either you start learning how to swim or you drown. And you drown, and you're born again, and you get the same opportunity all over again, till you just learn to enjoy it. To enjoy it. Okay, so that's part, and now we're coming to one of the most important encounters. The question is, the Zohar is saying, why did Jacob start the whole thing on the first place? Okay, why are you saying that? Says the Zohar, verse 15 in Perush HaSulam. וכי למה נתעורר יעקב לשלוח מלאכים אל עשיו? So why did Jacob send messengers to Esau? Esau already realized he's not continuing the lineage. He left the Holy Land, crossed beyond the river, and he was living right now in Edom. Edom is what is called today the Red Mountains. Okay? If a lot of people go to Petra, was the Red Rock, that's Esau's kingdom. That's across east of the Dead Sea, east of the Holy Land, the south of the Holy Land. That's called the Mountains of Edom. When you go from, let's say, in Israel, from the north to Eilat, you're driving there down Highway 90. On your left, you see these red mountains. Hours of driving. That's Edom, the Red Mountains. Edom means red. Okay? He went over there. He was already okay. He had already a kingdom. He had already a nation. Everything was okay. He settled. Why Jacob? Why waking the dead from their sleeping? Why? And the Zohar says, what's the worst thing? Procrastination. Sooner or later I have to deal with that. So better sooner than later. Better when you're ready than when you're just not expecting it. And also better now than later, because Dad is still alive. He was gambling that Esau won't dare killing him as long, because Esau never did anything consciously to upset Isaac, his father. Okay? You better shut up and move and go to your father and stay there. No, he wants to solve the problem as soon as possible. So, that's why he sent messengers to... So it's like double meaning to the word. He sent messengers or he sent angels. Both. He knew he's raising the dead. He is raising that stuff that, when you're in Haran, far away from brother, it's dead. My brother is down there, I'm here, like 1,000 miles away. Like the problem is dead. Now, I'm coming back home, the problem is not dead. Now you're back into the fight. You ran away. Sooner or later, you'll have to face it. Okay? Better when you're younger, better when you're more equipped, better when you're ready for it. Not when you're sleeping and that hits you in the middle of the night. So, Rabbi Shaul, that's all. No, we're talking about, not about Jacob. Again, we're talking about all of us. Do you know something, where you ran away from relationship? You ran away from a boss, you ran away from any kind of stuff that brought you into horror, and the result that you fled from there. What do you think? It's not going to come back? So it's better you do it now and not in the next lifetime. And you know what? Many times we don't do that. And subconsciously, it eats us up from the inside. How many times people get sick because they're harboring inside those emotions of failure, of anger, of stuff that has not reached completion. That's why we have to work so hard on going deep inside and looking for those emotions. Because if they are not settled, they are blocking us. And who knows how it's going to be. Some people it comes out as this disease, that disease. Sometimes the whole story repeats again with a family member, with a neighbor, with something. It comes up to the surface. And so we have to go many times so deep inside and to look for those moments we fled and we did not cope with those emotions. And sometimes we need to wake them up. Why? They can kill us. And usually they kill us not a very, it's not a sudden death. It's sickness, disease, all kinds of stuff. So being aware inside is preparing ourselves. So Jacob is saying, I'm not going to let that continue. That sword is not going to hover. We have to deal with it now. Okay, Rabbi Shimon Patach V'amar, verse 16 in the Zohar. טוב נקלע ועבד לו ממתכבד וחסר לחם. This verse is from Proverbs 12:9. And it says, it's better to have somebody who is nikle. Nikle means somebody who he's being despised by others. He doesn't have kavod. He's not being respected. The guy goes around like, Nebuch, like he's a Nebuch. He's not being respected. A better to have somebody like this is not like that. The Eved law. What do you mean? A person who does not have respect, but he has a slave. Who is the slave? His own evil inclination. What does it mean? If somebody insults me, I don't get offended. Why? Because I am controlling my evil inclination. Nobody can offend me or insult me without my cooperation. Who is my cooperation? That's my evil inclination that cooperates with that guy. Did you see what he said? You're not going to be upset. No, I woke up this morning and decided today, it doesn't worth it. So I'm not going to be upset. So when the guy is coming and trying to insult me, and my Esau says, hate him, fight him, he hates you, he should hate him back. Then you say, just a second, Esau, didn't we decide that you are my slave? Didn't you say that you are not the one who decides about the agenda? The Jacob in me is deciding the agenda, and we decided that we're not going to get upset. Why? Doesn't feel good. Why? I don't like to. And kind of being upset and being insulted, that's not getting me closer to God. So I'm not going to do that. So the person says the most horrible words, and I am controlling my own slave. And I'm not letting him react. So it looks like, well, you don't have your own, what about your own respect? You're not going to answer? I decided not to. I don't want to fight him. What am I going to gain from that? That means nikle, somebody without respect, ve'eved lo, but he has a slave. Who is his slave? His evil inclination is a slave. Then, it continues the verse, mitkabed v'chasar lechem. It's better than somebody is so, you hurt my respect, you hurt my kavod, you just want me to look like a shmate, whatever. How dare you doing that? What do you gain from that? What do you gain from that? High blood pressure, a lot of cholesterol, inflammation in the arteries. You know, this kind of people, that's what you get. That's stuff. That's Esau. That's a burden. Okay, no, so you don't look that smart when you do that. When you get upset every time somebody might have said something that does not respect you. Oh, what about my kavod? It's like... The evil inclination brings up the desire of the person with pride. And the person is like haunted with him, by him. He's making his hair nice, all about, show, look at me, I'm so, I'm the best, I'm somebody. But what's the problem? Now you are the slave of whom? Your own evil inclination. And then it says, and then the evil inclination pulls the person into hell. You don't have to die in order to go to hell. It's enough that you're being fried by the frying fire of ego, hurt, insult. People don't respect me the way I should. So if you are really learn to become that Jacob that has the slave, and somebody comes to insult you, you cannot be insulted because you don't have that place. You try to help him, because what the Zohar says, when you speak about mercy, who needs mercy? The tzaddik? The righteous person? No, he's happy. The evil people, the ones who the evil took over them, they are rotting in hell while they're still alive. They need rachamim, they need mercy. They need forgiveness, they need a hug, they need a kiss, they need a nice word. They're suffering. They're miserable. They're miserable. And you need, the rules of charity. The rules of tzedakah, they say if somebody was a rich person, but he lost everything, how much a community should give him? In the beginning, they should give him what he's used to. He doesn't know anything else. Little by little, you have to make him used to that you don't have so much money, so you cannot live in such a high lifestyle. So the guy is so with kavod and with ego, whatever, you can't just say, you should learn to be to live with humility. He doesn't know what does it mean. He doesn't know what does it mean. He's like a little kid. You cannot tell him the truth in the face. He doesn't get it. He lives in his own fantasy that everybody should bow down to him. The guy is miserable. He's not going to get it. So you have to give him charity. A smile. He doesn't deserve it, but he needs it. He needs something to soothe the pain because he's injured. He's upset. His Yetzer Hara is taking over. You can't just tell him, you just get over with this. It doesn't work this way. He doesn't understand what does it mean. He doesn't know how to overcome it. You have to do it slowly, like a child. He didn't do it when he was bar mitzvah. He didn't do it even later. Why? Look at him. The guy is totally a slave to his own Esau. You can't just tell him in the face. But if your own Esau is controlling you, you cannot help somebody else if you can't help yourself first. Right? First of all, you have to win your own in a battle before you help somebody else. Like in the airplane, when they show you, when there's no oxygen, first you put the mask for yourself. Then you can help others. And if you can't put the mask for yourself, you can't help others. Only when you overcome your own Esav, because otherwise, your Esav and the other person's Esav, oh, they have a party. Who has a bigger ego? Who has more gava? Who has more pride? What are you going to get with that? That's insult to injury, right? That makes it work. Really terrible. So, first of all, take care of your own. And when you do that, so, Hainu, what does it say? Hainu mi she'eno lechachar yetzer hara. Whoever does not follow the evil inclination, eino mitga'e klal, doesn't have pride, u'mashpil rucho v'libo v'retzono l'kadosh baruch hu, and he's simply have humility in front of the Creator. Az ha'yetzer hara mitapech liot eved ho. Then the evil inclination becomes your servant. He serves you. He's your slave. Instead of weakening you, he gives you power. That's a real, true power. That's why Titen emet leYaakov, the truth is with Jacob. The evil inclination says, yeah, but I'm right. You're right, you're dead right. Why is it that all the people are right, they're always irritating and irritated? That's Esav. You're not right. You think you're right. You're dead right. Okay? So then the evil inclination cannot control you if you just choose humility. But humility is the biggest strength. Okay. And what I mean that chasar lachem, it says the one who's looking with pride, he has no bread. Because bread means, another word for bread is emunah, faith. What does it mean? A person without faith is never satiated. Doesn't matter how much you give him. Doesn't matter how much he takes. It's never enough. Ayesh lo mane, rotze 200. You have 100, you already want 200. You have 200, you want 400. It's never enough. It's like you think you're crazy. As much as you eat, it's never enough. As much as money you make, it's never enough. So people give you money, it's never enough. This is the disease, the greatest disease of them all. So now comes another secret. Jacob is going to meet Esav. And meeting Esav is really threatening. He says, Esav is coming with 400 warriors. What am I going to do? I have only 4 wives, 12 kids. What am I going to do against 400 people? It's like, this is it, it's over. It's over. Where can I run? They are faster than I could ever be. So, he's using this tactic. He doesn't give up. Why? Part of the fight is never giving up. As long as you're fighting, there's hope. And again, miracles do happen. Now, where do happen? As we said last week, VaYislah Yaakov, miracle is getting out of your box. Your brain, your Esav, your bad inclination gives you all kinds of horror movies and shows. It's the end of the world. It's like finished. There's no, yeah, but who put me into it? The Creator brought me into it. So it means there's a challenge that I am supposed to deal with this with the best. I'll do the best I can do. And when you do your best, God does the rest. Because when He does it, when we subdue our evil inclination and control it, there's so much space for God to come in. What do you say about a person full of ego? He's full of himself. You know what's the problem? When you're full of yourself, there's no place for God to come in. No place for solutions. You can't get out of the box. Jacob is doing the best he can. On one hand, the Zohar says, which is also in the Rashi explains it, he's ready to appease his enemy. He's sending Esav all kinds of gifts. Why? You always do that. You never start fighting. You will start with gifts. Why? If I can give gifts and stay away from the war, why do I need to go right into the war? You don't have to. You don't have to. But the gift has also a hidden weapon within. You know, when you give the other side gifts, you put them to sleep on one hand. On the other hand, you have to do it wisely. He says to Esav, Im Lavan garti va'echa adata. I lived with Lavan till now. And see how much I have? So the commentators are saying, Lavan was known to be the worst person on earth. A cheat, a liar, cares for no one but himself. Also, he was a warlock with a dark magician. He was with a dark witchcraft. And Jacob got all of this out of Lavan. The more gifts he's sending to Esav is starting like, if he got all of this from Lavan, the guy is not really afraid of me, so why is he giving gifts? Which means when you're giving the gifts, you have to do it standing straight, showing strength, not showing, I'm not saying humility, but you shouldn't look meek. You should do it from a place, I give you because I choose to. I don't have to, but I want to give you because I don't want to fight with you. You have to do it from a place of strength. And that's why when he says, Vayili shor v'chamor, I had an ox and a donkey, a slave and a maid. You had oxen. You had donkeys. By the way, you had more sheep and goats than the others. Why starting with that? Says the Zohar, when you hear about the plague of the firstborn, what did it say? The firstborn of the ox and the donkey, the slave and the maid. Fighting the dark side, you have to fight it its own way. And those are 4 names of the 4 levels of the dark side, of witchcraft and dark forces. So Jacob was speaking nice, but he was basically threatening Esav. I'm giving you my gifts from a place of power. I'm not weak. I battled with Lavan 21 years and I came out and see what I've got. Now, Esav is starting to have what? His belief system is fractured. He's not so sure who is he facing. Is it Jacob that is trying to say, I'm your slave, please forgive me, I am just here with my family and, let's go for the kill. There are people, they just see weakness. They can't stop themselves. They have, especially the Middle East, if you know. Weak people in the Middle East, they have no expectancy. You're being devoured. The moment you show weakness, you're being devoured. Look at the history of the Middle East. You have to give gifts, but you have to show strength. If you're going to dare get too close, I'm very strong. Look, I survived Lavan. So the giving of the gift is not just the act of giving the gift, but giving the gift, I have the power to give you. It's not from putting yourself down. Okay? And then he prays. Why is he praying? That's why the commentators are saying, the Zohar is saying, you're going forward, you have to be ready to give gifts, but from a place of strength. You have to be ready to pray because who is going to help you? Your own wit? No, we said the logic that got you into the trouble is not going to get you out of it. Prayer is not, as many people don't understand, you're not praying to God to change his opinion about you. God never changes. Ani Hashem lo shaniti. I am God, I never change. The prayer is to change yourself. Through the prayer, you lift yourself to a place of more certainty, more faith. And if the prayer does not get you there, so change the way you pray. But you can't change God. And one of the ways, when you pray, there's something that happens to you. Because our logic, physical conscience says, there's no God. Did you see him? You talk to him, did he ever answer to you? No. So logic says, he's not here. Yeah, a lot of things that you can't see, they still exist, right? Radio waves. Okay? Did you ever see them? Can you live without them? No. Electricity. Did you ever see electricity running in the wires? That means you're not using electricity. Huh? So using God, the problem is your brain, physical conscious says that maybe there's no God. Maybe he's busy. Maybe he's busy somewhere else. But you know that when you talk to God, your subconscious mind can't accept it that you talk to someone that doesn't exist. So talk to him. The more you talk to him, the more you feel his existence. And the more you feel his existence, the more you realize his presence. The more you realize his presence, the more you realize that if there's only God and nothing but God, so what is this thing that is happening right now? It's also part of God. And that brings Jacob to the place that when he's facing Esau, he bows down 7 times. Esau, if he was confused till now, is even more confused. If this guy is so powerful, he's such a warlock, he has magic, why is he bowing down? He's confused. You got him out of his belief system. So he forgives. He forgets. Because he's afraid at that moment. Maybe Jacob's going to kill me. That's psychology. But the question that Zohar is asking, and many other commentators, how come Jacob is bowing down to Esau? We had the whole Megillah, the book of Esther, because Mordechai did not want to bow down to Haman. We got a whole Megillah out of it. Right? Okay? Now Hamani was descendant of Esau. Now Mordechai doesn't want to bow down. Why is Jacob bowing down? Is that idol worship? And idol worship is you should kill yourself and not come to that place? And all the commentators are saying, after the prayer, Jacob sees only God and nothing but God. He bows, he feels, I'm staying there in front of that person who wants to kill me. But God is there around me. He's there between me, and that it says in the verse, chapter 33, verse 3. Vehu avar lifnehem. And he passed in front of them. Who is that he? That's a guardian angel. Guardian angel. The guardian angel was following Jacob and his family. But the moment he was facing Esau, Jacob felt the presence of God in front of him. Avar lifnehem. He was in awe. There's nothing but God. And Esau cannot do anything to me that God does not allow him. From that awe, Jacob is bowing down 7 times to the guardian angel, to the presence of God. Esau thinks he is bowing down to him. At that moment, Esau comes to pride. And the sages are saying, and that will come what the Zohar is saying. I can't find, but the question, what it says, that Jacob is basically, what the Zohar is saying, in that thing, what Jacob did to Esau, if Esau knew what he's doing to him, he would kill himself. There were two stages. One stage, remember, Esau is coming from the field, and Jacob says, sell your birthright to me. And as we said, it's like, we have to do it since we are bar mitzvah, which means if we let the body consciousness, the Esau consciousness take over, we'll kill ourselves. But Esau was also, as we said, he was the son of Isaac and Rivka. He was supposed to be that power that fights all evil in the world. He had the free will. He chose to side the evil. And the Zohar says, Imraev, there's a verse from Proverbs, Imraev sonacha achileu lechem, ki gichalim ata chote al rosho. If your enemy is hungry, feed him with bread, because by doing that, you put burning charcoals on his head. What? It says, when you go to that person that hates you, and you don't fall into it, you don't fall into his negativity, you stay in pure positivity. And not just this, you behave with grace towards that person. You create this awesome force of positivity and faith. And he comes at you with hate. The Zohar says, all the positive that is in him jumps into you. All the negative in you jumps into him. When you feed your enemy with bread, with faith, with positivity, it's like all the charcoal, burning charcoals you pour on his head, you shove into him. It's at your negativity. Jacob at that moment took from Esau all the power that Esau got in the beginning to be the guy who fights evil around the world. He had that power because when he was born as a firstborn, being the firstborn gives you the high priesthood, the birthright, and the kingship. He lost the birthright when he sold it to Jacob. Now he lost the kingship. Jacob sucked it in. So, as again, you have two forces. One person hates you with venom, and you send him only light. Equal similarities attract. The good sparks that are left in him jump into you. And the negative sparks left in you jump into him. Okay, and that's what, if Esau says as well, no, that's what Jacob was doing to him, he would kill himself, not to have that encounter. So when we behave with respect, with mercy, with balance, with tranquility towards people who hate us, we are There are two ways what the Zohar says. Either they see our light and they want it to, and they remember what they want, and they strengthen them to become the person they also want to be. And if not, all the positivity jumps into you, and your negativity jumps into them. So, and that's what Jacob did. He bowed down and he said, God, I know you're here. I know you're with me. I bow down to you because I know Esau cannot do anything you do not permit him. So whatever happens, I take it with love. Not that before that, Jacob is preparing for war. He's also practical. He's like splitting into few camps. Why? If Esau hits one camp, the other camps can run away. So that's why the sage says you have to be practical. If the other side is stronger, try to bribe him. What can you do? In this world, Esau is stronger, but out from the place of strength and faith. On the other hand, you have to prepare for a war. You have to be practical. What if it's an all-out war? But it's not the first choice. And the third is, remember, there's only one who decides it. And whatever happens, even the worst person in the world, the most hateful, negative, is under the rules of the creation. He cannot hurt you unless he's being allowed. So whatever happens, you bow down not to that power that wants to hurt you. You bow down to who? To the Creator that created the whole setup to give you the opportunity to rise to the occasion. How would that going to finish? You have no idea. So what happens? Esau hugs him. And there's a debate. There's a debate among the commentators. Some say that and Esau is crying. Wow, he's crying. Why he's crying? There's all kind of childish stuff, you know, that's a pshat. He tried to bite his neck became strong as marble, he broke his teeth, that's good for kindergarten. There's a commentary like this, but you know, the pshat always has its own face. But Rashi is saying, Amar Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Said Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Halacha, it's known, it's halacha. This is the law of the universe. Esau hates Jacob. That's a rule. Why? It's competing forces. It's either me or him. But at that moment, the power that Jacob generated of faith, light, and completion was so strong that Esau turned around. He kissed him with all his heart. And at that moment, he gave up seeing the truth. He gave up all the powers and let Jacob have it. When we are in total faith, power of love, then our evil inclination will give up the fight. Take over. Take the lead. I'm supporting you. I love you. Why? Because without it, I'm not a whole. We can fight. Yeah, we can fight for what? For all kinds of stuff. You can fight for... Nothing really good in life is being achieved without a fight, a good fight. But it doesn't have to be a fight of hatred. It could be a fight for the good. So, by that note, thank you for the musical... thank you. And have a good week. And have that power of faith and strength, and we'll win by that the whole coming year, because that's the power we have. Thank you.